All right, let's dive in. This time, we're going back to 1985, back to Elm Street.
Elm Street.
Nightmare on Elm Street 2. Freddy's Revenge. You ready for this
Well,
one?
absolutely. It's a really interesting one, a controversial sequel for sure, but
It is. And for everyone listening, picture this, all right? 5 years after the first film, after everything Nancy went through, a new family moves into the house on Elm Street. The Walshes.
oh, the infamous house on Elm Street. You'd think they'd steer clear.
You would think, right? Like maybe a little warning sign. But nope, the Walshes move right in. Teenage son, Jesse, little sister, they're in for it.
Straight into Freddy's web.
And it starts with the nightmares. Jessica starts having these crazy, intense dreams. But it's not just the dreams. The house is like reacting.
Oh yeah, it becomes an extension of Freddy's power, doesn't it?
It does. The temperature goes wild. Things are exploding. Even his pet parakeet, poof, gone.
Not your typical teenage angst.
Definitely not. And here's where it gets interesting. Instead of, Googling Freddy Krueger or asking around, Jesse and his girlfriend, Lisa, they go old school.
Old school detective work.
They start digging through rumors, old newspaper clippings, anything they can find.
Pre-internet era, it's all about word of mouth and physical evidence. I think that adds to the whole feeling of,
The isolation.
isolation. Exactly.
And piece by piece, they uncover Freddy's backstory. This really dark, really messed up past, child killer, burned alive by the parents on Elm Street. Talk about nightmare fuel.
It really adds to the whole mythology of Freddy Krueger.
It does. And as they learn more about Freddy, the line between Jesse's dreams and reality starts to blur. Big time.
Freddy's influence is not confined to the dream world anymore.
It's like he's reaching out, trying to break free.
Yeah.
And what did you think about that, by the way? This idea of Freddy using Jesse?
I thought it was really interesting. It makes you question, the nature of evil. Is it something external, something that can possess you, or is it already inside us?
It's a good question. And things get really scary when Jesse starts witnessing Freddy's murders in his dreams. And then those murders are happening in real life. Coach Schneider, the gym teacher, gone.
That's a turning point, isn't it?
It is. Because now Jesse's realizing Freddy's power isn't just in his head. It's real. People are dying.
And Jesse's own sanity is on the line. He doesn't know what's real anymore.
And that's what makes Freddy's Revenge so different. It's not just about a monster slashing teenagers. It's about what's happening inside Jesse. This struggle for control.
That internal battle, it's really compelling.
But there's hope, right? Lisa, she's amazing in this film. She never gives up on Jesse, even when everyone else thinks he's lost it.
Her love for him, it's like this force against Freddy. It's almost like a shield.
And there's this one scene, I mentioned this. Freddy's about to attack Lisa, and he hesitates. Like there's a flicker in his eyes, almost like he recognizes her or something.
I think it's a crucial moment. It suggests that maybe Freddy isn't entirely evil, or maybe it's Lisa's love for Jesse that's disrupting him.
It's interesting, for sure. And things keep escalating. Despite Lisa's efforts, Freddy crashes a pool party, the water's boiling, people are getting hurt.
Pure chaos.
Total chaos. And Lisa's dad, he has no idea what's going on, tries to shoot Freddy with a shotgun. But Lisa, she stops him.
She knows it's not really Freddy, it's Jesse, under his control.
It's a great scene. It shows how much Lisa cares, how far she'll go to protect Jesse and her dad.
It's her rationality, her strength, even in the middle of all that, and it leads them to the power plant.
The abandoned power plant, which, if I remember correctly, that's where Freddy used to work.
That's right. So it's not just a random location. It's tied to Freddy's past. It adds another layer to everything.
It does. And we'll get into that showdown in a bit. The power plant, the climax, the ending. But first, we got to take a quick break. We'll be back soon to unpack it all.
That power plant, man, what a setting.
Right. Creepy, abandoned. Perfect for a final showdown with Freddy. I mean, what did you think about how it was used? The whole good versus evil thing played out in that power plant.
Yeah, the way they use it, it's like a visual representation of what's going on inside Jesse. The machinery, the darkness, the flickering lights. You can feel the decay, you know, the danger.
Absolutely. And Lisa, she finds Jesse there, totally under Freddy's control. But she doesn't give up. She starts talking to him, telling him she loves him, that he's stronger than Freddy.
Such a powerful moment. It shows how important that human connection is, even in, like, the darkest situations.
For sure. And it's her belief in him that really starts to turn things around.
Yeah.
Freddy starts to weaken. His hold on Jesse loosens. Love as a weapon against evil.
Right. And when she takes off Freddy's hat and kisses Jesse, I mean, wow.
That was intense. What'd you think about that?
It's like she's directly challenging Freddy, defying him, and it works.
It does. And then, boom, the whole place catches fire.
And fire, I mean, think about it. Fire is what created Freddy. The townspeople burn him alive.
Oh, yeah. That's so true. It's like this whole cycle of destruction and rebirth.
Exactly. But with Jesse, the fire, it doesn't destroy him. It's almost like it purifies him.
Yeah, he emerges from those flames, and it seems like Freddy's gone. Like maybe there's hope for Jesse, for redemption.
It's definitely open to interpretation. But, horror movies, they rarely tie things up in a neat little bow.
Tell me about it. That ending, man. Just when you think it's over, Freddy's burned body starts moving, and Jesse, he walks out of the fire. But something's off.
It's such a creepy ending. You're left wondering, did they really defeat Freddy? Or is he just biding his time?
It stays with you, that's for sure. It's a much different ending than the first film. No clear resolution, just a sense of dread, like anything could happen.
I think it reflects that shift in tone. The first film, it's a slasher. Freddy's Revenge, it's more psychological, deeper.
Definitely. We talked a bit about this before, but there's that whole homoerotic subtext in the film. That's something we should probably unpack a little more.
Yeah, it's been a topic of discussion for years. Intentional, unintentional, it's hard to say for sure.
The director, Jack Shoulder, he said he didn't intend for it to be there. But it's there, and people pick up on it.
And you have to remember, this is 1985. Societal attitudes towards homosexuality were very different.
Totally. AIDS was just starting to emerge, and there's so much fear around it. So to have these themes in a mainstream horror film, even subtly, that was pretty groundbreaking.
It was. Whether intentional or not, it brought those anxieties to the surface, made people confront them.
Maybe that's part of why the film got such mixed reactions back then. It was a different time. Those themes might have been too much for some audiences.
It's possible. But the film's gained a cult following over the years. A lot of people see it as a really subversive work, one that challenged those societal norms.
It's interesting how a film's interpretation can change over time, right? As society changes, so do our perspectives.
Absolutely. And it shows how powerful film can be to start conversations, to challenge the status quo.
For sure. But beyond the subtext, we got to talk about the performances. Mark Patton as Jesse. He really went through it in this film. You believe his descent into madness.
Oh, yeah. He was fantastic. And Kim Myers as Lisa, she brought this real warmth to the role. A sense of humanity amidst all the darkness.
She's the heart of the film for sure. You can't help but root for her, for Jesse.
And Robert Englund, of course. He just owns that role, doesn't he?
He does. Freddy Krueger. Iconic.
Menacing, funny. He brings a perfect balance to the character.
And what about Jack Shoulder, the director? What did you find interesting about his approach?
Well, he's known for his visuals, his suspense. He brought a different energy to the franchise, more psychological horror.
It feels different, you know?
Yeah.
It wasn't just trying to copy the first film.
Exactly. He wanted to do something new with the material, explore different themes.
And it's flawed, sure, but it's ambitious. It tries to do something different with the Nightmare on Elm Street world.
And that's what makes it so interesting to revisit.
So, all right, the big question. What's our rating for Freddy's Revenge?
Ooh, that's tough. It's not perfect, for sure. It's a departure from the original. But it's bold, it's visually striking, and it really makes you think. I'm going to go with a 3.5 out of 5.
I'm with you on that. It's flawed, but it's fascinating. It takes risks. It explores those darker parts of human experience. I think it deserves credit for that.
I think people connect with it because of that, because it's willing to push boundaries.
Our listeners, what about you? Have you seen A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge? What did you think? Did it scare you? Did it leave you thinking? Hit us up in the comments. Let's talk about it.
We want to hear your thoughts, your theories. What are your favorite moments?
And hey, while you're at it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We've got more deep dives coming your way. More horror, more discussions. Stay tuned.
Until next time, sweet dreams.
Or maybe not. It's crazy how much discussion Freddy's Revenge generated, right? All the themes, the subtext, it really got people talking. What do you think the biggest takeaway is from all that?
Well, it shows how movies, even horror movies, they can reflect what's happening in society and even challenge those norms. Like Freddy's Revenge, whether it was on purpose or not, it tapped into all those anxieties people had about masculinity, sexuality, all of that. In the 80s, that was huge.
It was. And for everyone listening, think about watching this back then. 1985, AIDS is starting to spread. There's fear everywhere. Nobody knows what's going on. And then you see these anxieties. even subtly playing out in a horror movie. It must have been pretty impactful.
Oh, absolutely. It brought those fears out into the open, forced people to confront them. And that's what good horror does. It holds up a mirror to society, shows us what we're afraid of.
And maybe sometimes it forces us to deal with those fears, to
Yeah.
really look at ourselves, our own prejudices.
Exactly. It can be a starting point for change, even if it's just a little step towards understanding each other better.
It's amazing how a film like this, even with its flaws, can spark those conversations.
It is. It reminds us that even things meant to entertain us can have a real impact on our culture, on who we are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, to wrap up our deep dive into A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, it's not a perfect film. We know that. But it's a fascinating one that really makes you think. It pushed the boundaries of horror, and it started some important conversations. It's worth checking out, even if you're not a huge horror fan.
Yeah, I agree. It's a film that gets better with every watch, too. You always notice something new.
Maybe you'll even start a conversation with your friends about it.
Or give them a few nightmares.
Hopefully not. But hey, if you do have any thoughts about the film, any theories, favorite moments, anything like that, let us know in the comments. We always love hearing from you.
And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We've got plenty more deep dives coming your way. More movies, more discussions.
Until next time, everyone, keep those nightlights burning.